Moo. So I'm pretty sure that the universe is trying to conspire against me today about recording. There are birds, like a billion birds going on outside. There is, like planes going up ahead. I think you can even hear the owl in the background. I mean, there's everything. I don't have like a soundproof area or anything like that, so you're just gonna have to deal with the ambient sounds. That's just actually I should probably start trying to do those as like meditation videos. Ambient sounds with augury. That'd actually be pretty great. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, on to The Sims. Hello, welcome to WarCows. This is Augury, your middle-aged aunt who still plays video games. And today we are going to be talking about the new patch that they just put out for Sims 4. This is the patch out for June of 2020. And this was a major update. There was a lot of stuff that they had to prep before we actually went to the Eco Living Pack. And they added a lot of really neat features just to the base game to kind of make that work well. As you can see, Byron right now is planting things. Byron is an adult now, and he is trying to live as sustainably as possible. For one thing, because I wanted to do that in the spirit of the new pack that's coming out. I'm going to actually be moving him to the new neighborhood and having him try to help clean it up and everything. But also just because he doesn't have a lot of funds ever. Now I wanted to look at some of the various things that we have that they have changed about everything since this update. One of the things is that I was able to take his house. He always had an ocean paradise. I was able to take his house back to off the grid because I actually, before it was hard to hunt down the stuff. Oh, he also has volcanic activity because that's just a fun trait to have. But because they put, one of the things in the update is they actually put an off the grid heading for menu category. And that way you can just go through and like find all the off-grid stuff that there is. You have your plumbing stuff, you have your lighting stuff, you have things that have to do with the kitchen and cooking and things of that nature. You have crafting items. Of course, you have your various gardening items. And then you have your miscellaneous category. Now, you have quite a bit of stuff in each of these. For one, in this, it's mostly just like stoves and chest sets and, fish tanks. For the gardening, you got essentially pretty much everything you would think. I'm not getting Byron bees because I just think that they'll attack him constantly. Crafting doesn't have a whole lot, but it has some. Now, this is an improvement. This actually has... I can't even tell you if it had the stoves before or not because it was always hard to find that stuff. But we have stoves, we have refrigerators, at least a couple. In lighting, you actually have quite a bit more stuff. For one thing, you have overhead lights and you have more candles. I didn't understand why some of the candles weren't off the grid, but they weren't. But having overhead lights helps a lot. I mean, tremendously it helps a lot, especially for me because that's where I like to put things. Now with this, you have some toilets, not a whole lot, but you have some. You have some showers and you have some sinks. So what I changed about his place was I put one of the sustainable toilets in there. I put that kind of rigged together sink. I went ahead and just put the most simple and cheap shower because he can do his spell to clean himself off anyway. We have the same stove. I changed our refrigerator because the other refrigerator wasn't available for some reason. Now, one of the interesting things about off-the-grid living with the refrigerators is that there's a new interaction that you have to work on. It's add ice. You pretty much have to constantly, well not constantly, but periodically add ice to your refrigerator to keep everything in there cool. Otherwise it's going to spoil, which is a pretty neat little touch. I mean, you kind of buy fridges in The Sims and then basically forget about them. But now you're actually having to do some stuff to maintain, and that's nice. Now, one of the other interactions you have with the patch is this gather water. And gather water is really important too, because right now, because we don't have the eco-living water gathering stuff yet, this is at least a way for you to get some. You'll notice he has a little pail that he can gather. Oh, and now he's really upset. He's tense because he can't go steal things. I'm not really sure how the stealing things and, you know, everything is going to work into the eco-living. I may change that to Freegan whenever we actually get the pack. We'll see. Now, this is the other interesting thing. You actually have bill information with this update. You'll notice this is the amount of bills you actually have. Byron right now isn't spending any on power or any on water. There's really nothing else. And he has actually got a little bit of a surplus because of the water he just gathered. Now, you can sell your surplus stuff, but of course there is good reason to kind of keep it around because you may need it. Right now, with all the gardening he's going to be doing, I think he's probably going to be keeping any water that he gathers. Oh, and apparently I can keep my pot too. That's not really causing a problem. Oh, the other interesting thing that we got out of this was we have, and I've been waiting for this for a long time, we have ladders, which, oh, well, I just kind of buried the lead, but yeah, there are the ladders. Isn't that great? And I can't actually get it in his house, but hey, at least it's a ladder. Another thing that we have now is an ability to actually impact the environment depending on what type of material we're using on our house. Now, Byron's house actually is working toward the environment, as you will see, which isn't surprising because, as I said before, I use pretty much everything from Solani. I don't think I use Solani flooring, but as you'll see, the floor actually, well, here in a minute you'll see the floor actually works with it too. So yeah, we have good environmental stuff all the way around, and that's helpful. You know, one of the things that I've kind of neglected to really look at while Byron's been living in Solani is this fabulous waterfall we have over here. There's a lot of things you can actually do in this waterfall. You can bathe in it, you can call frogs, you can play in it. But one of the neat things about it now with the update is that you can also gather water here, which is pretty great. I mean, if you're going to live in paradise, gathering water from a waterfall is a pretty neat idea. So let's see, let's actually get up there closer so we can watch him do it. I mean, of course, it's essentially just the same reaction. It just looks a lot neater when he's getting it out of the waterfall. As I said, he can also attract frogs, which is helpful. Apparently, we're supposed to have some new recipes that you can do whenever you're living off the grid, but I'm not sure what it takes to really kind of unlock them. I know that one of the recipes is supposed to involve catching frogs, so this might be a good idea for him anyway. Mind you, Byron keeps quite a few frogs around. So, and now we have dogs barking. Here, play in the water. It'll actually do you some good. You're just so miserable all the time, even as an adult. You're just completely and utterly miserable. Now, along with the other updates that I already talked about as far as the off-the-grid stuff is concerned, there are some other ones that I really couldn't get into because I didn't quite have the stuff or the people around to actually see that the interactions would react. First of all, harvestables apparently now have buffs whenever they're consumed off-grid, which is pretty interesting. Byron doesn't actually have anything ready, I don't think, so I'm not exactly sure that would work. If you have pets, dogs and toddlers, even if you don't have pets, now have a unique interaction when being bathed in bathtubs when they're off the grid. Objects can now be cleaned use elbow grease interaction, which is pretty interesting. Now, apparently before, off-the-grid specific buffs didn't take into consideration the traits that the sim has, but apparently now they do. I'm assuming that Sims like Byron, who like the outdoors and stuff like that, are going to have buffs that are positive, whereas people who are maybe more materialistic or snobs and things like that won't particularly have great reactions to being off the grid. As I said before, they've added a lot of recipes. I just couldn't find them specifically to actually kind of see what all was on there. Speaking of lot stuff, not necessarily that this has anything to do with off the grid, but there is some new ways to keep people off of your lot. One of them is a no trespassing thing that you can set up. This will keep vampires from kind of walking in your house and drinking all your blood. I probably won't ever set that one up because I kind of like the threat of vampires, so I'm going to keep that in. There's also a new send home interaction. This is helpful because before pretty much all you had was just, ask to leave. And the problem with that was that it kind of made the other Sims mad. But now you can just send those people home and there's really going to be no negative reaction. And that's just great. Also, to help you with your lot issues, there are now firefighters. Whenever you set your lot on fire, they will show up and help put the fires out. I bet Sims will still die, but maybe not at the rate that they did before. Not so helpful, but I suppose as a natural consequence of things, there are also repo people who will come and repossess your stuff whenever you're not paying your bills. So I guess that's not something that Byron's had to live with yet, but who knows, in the future he may. Anyway, there are other aspects of this update that I will get to later. Quite frankly, I didn't get to this stuff about the inventory because I haven't quite figured it out myself yet. So I'm just going to have to wait and, mess with that a little bit. And of course, MAC Cosmetics added a bunch of cosmetics to the pack, but that doesn't really have anything to do with Byron because he's not really a makeup wearing kind of fella. And also, I'm not sure how I feel about the MAC Cosmetics yet. I actually went in and put some on Gemma, and I think they look pretty good on her, but I'm not sure how that they're going to work with other people because they're a little bit wonky. But anyway, as I figure out more about the patch, I'll get back to you. And of course, whenever I get the new pack in, I'll of course be exploring that with Byron and doing that as a video as well. Probably several videos because there's a lot to this stuff. But anyway, for now, this is Augury coming to you from WarCows. Thank you for going along this journey with me through this patch, and happy simming.